Hello, true health seeker. Have you ever thought about becoming a health coach? Do you love learning about nutrition and how we can shift our lifestyle and our diet so that we can gain optimal health and happiness and longevity? Do you love helping your friends and family to solve their health problems and to figure out what they can do to eat healthier? Are you interested in becoming someone who can grow their own business, support people in their success? Do you love helping people? You might be the perfect candidate to become a health coach. I highly recommend checking out the Institute for Integrative Nutrition. I just spent the last year in their health coaching certification program, and it really blew me away. It was so amazing. I learned over 100 dietary theories. I learned all about nutrition, but from a standpoint of how we can help people to shift their life and shift their lifestyle to gain true holistic health. I definitely recommend you check them out. You can Google Institute for Integrative Nutrition or IIN and give them a call, or you can go to learntruehealth.com/coach and you can receive a free module of their training to check it out and see if it's something that you'd be interested in. Be sure to mention my name, Ashley James, in the Learn True Health podcast, because I made a deal with them that they will give you the best price possible. I highly recommend checking it out. It really changed my life to be in their program, and I'm such a big advocate that I wanted to spread this information. We need more health coaches. In fact, health coaching is the largest growing career right now in the health field. So many health coaches are getting in and helping people because you can work in chiropractic offices, doctors' offices, you can work in hospitals, you can work online through Skype and help people around the world. You can become an author, you can go into the school system and help your local schools shift their programs to help children be healthier. You can go into senior centers and help them to shift their diet and lifestyle to best support them in their success and their health goals. There's so many different available options for you when you become a certified health coach. So check out IIN, check out the Institute for Integrative Nutrition, mention my name, get the best deal. Give them a call and they'll give you lots of free information and help you to see if this is the right move for you. And if you know anyone in your life who would be an amazing coach, please tell them about it. Being a health coach is so rewarding and you get to help so many people. Have a fantastic day and enjoy this amazing interview. Welcome to the Learn True Health podcast. I'm your host, Ashley James. This is episode 188. Today we're in for a real treat. We have with us Melissa Henig, who's going to teach us something quite interesting. We've heard of raw vegan. We've heard of the paleo diet. But who has heard of raw paleo? And why? Why would we want to be a raw paleo? Melissa, I'm so excited to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Well, you're this fantastic nutritionist and health coach, and I want to know your story. What led you to become a raw paleo expert? Please share with us your journey that guided you to being this advocate for this particular way of eating and this particular lifestyle.
Sure. So raw paleo is including raw animal products. And that's where people always get mixed up because everyone, like you said, you've heard of raw vegan and paleo, but now I'm bringing in the raw animal aspect. And personally, I started out on a raw vegan diet. And I had so much energy and everything about it was great. I was eating plants and nuts and seeds. And then things did come crashing down. It's not very sustainable. And I had noticed a lot of nutritional deficiencies. I had been bruising, losing muscle mass. I had anxiety. It was like I was just high all the time and in the clouds. And I didn't have this very grounded feeling like I definitely do eating more the animal products and raw animal products. So I have there was a little store, I don't know if you're familiar with it, it's called Rawsome. It's in California, and I had been going for about a year just getting coconut water and nuts and seeds and being a raw vegan. And the folks every week, they sold a lot of raw animal products at the store, like raw milk, raw liver pate, raw meat, things that you don't see at other stores. And the folks would see each week my energy is declining, and they're like, you might want to try some things you're missing. You're missing raw cholesterol. You're missing fat soluble vitamins A, D, and K. And so I always remain open minded. Everything's open ended for me. I'm here to learn and grow. So I was open to it. It took a while though, and I finally tried a little sample of this raw cheese, and I was fine. And then I tried a little raw meat. My body said yes, and I just haven't looked back. So they definitely were the catalyst to help me go into this raw paleo way. Were the folks at this little store. So I'm grateful for that, and I love it. And so I've been eating the raw animal product ever since. I'm pregnant. I'm still eating my diet. I'm definitely not dogmatic as I used to be in the very beginning when you first jump and dive, head first into something. It's the end all be all. But now I've definitely found that balance, found what works for my body, and everybody can find what works for their body. I'm so passionate because I know that these the healing potential is much greater when you're eating the foods in the raw form. It's not that cooked food, I'm not against it, it's not bad for you. It's just that I have personally felt and seen, many testimonies of the raw animal products being so healing.
First of all, congratulations on being pregnant.
Thank you.
That's very exciting. Is this your first child?
It is.
Because I was going to say, if you had more kids, we could compare pregnancy, with a different diet to this diet. But um, are you looking at your pregnancy versus when you talk to other pregnant women and noticing that you feel healthier, or have you gone to your pregnancy class and just seen that you're feeling generally healthier than what other women tend to express?
Yeah, I'm noticing there's a huge difference there. There's a birthing circle I go to, and I'm supposedly high risk because I'm 39, which I don't believe in that. But yeah, I noticed that they have a lot of problems with eating. They can't digest things, they're too full, they're having acid reflux. There's a lot of issues I'm seeing, and I'm feeling really good. So there's I'm seeing the difference there.
Really? So you're not experiencing all the crazy symptoms that if you type in, the birth, pregnancy symptoms, and the acid reflux is like the most common, and problems digesting and morning sickness, which for me, morning sickness was like all day and all night sickness. And if it wasn't for homeopathy, I don't know if I could have survived my pregnancy. Um, but yet I looked around, and the pregnant women when I was pregnant were experiencing lots of aches and pains and muscle cramps and problems sleeping. And I didn't have any of that because I was taking supplements and eating fairly healthier than the average pregnant woman, I think. And you are taking it to a whole new level. So are you experiencing any negative symptoms in your pregnancy?
Just uncomfortableness with sleeping because I now have a huge stomach in my way, and I'm like, what do I do with this?
Right?
Um, and then if things come up, like we traveled to California and I sat in the car for 7 hours, my feet got really swollen. That was a shock. I've never seen that, even being pregnant the whole time, so I made sure I drank my celery juice and I'm getting enough salt and I'm doing things. I guess I really have the resources like you do with the supplements and the food that if something arises, like that one time in the car with the feet, I take care of it right away.
Now share with us, so if someone has edema in their feet from travel, why is celery juice a good idea?
Well, it's really good to get the sodium in your body, and it's not good to wait until last minute like I did. Like, oh, now my feet are swollen, but the whole time you're pregnant to be intaking sodium and salt, it has an osmosis effect where your bloodstream, it keeps all the circulation going, it keeps it in the right spot, all the blood, and it doesn't just accumulate in your feet then. That's what the sodium's doing.
I love that you're essentially saying that salt is healthy for us.
Essentially, yes. It's
It's just it amazes me that MDs still believe the old myth that salt is bad for us. And I love it when I hear from holistic practitioners that no, cholesterol from eggs is good. And especially the raw yolk that's because it's not denatured. So you're saying that you want that raw cholesterol. That's the healthiest form of it. You want that healthy salt from, your plant-based salt, like from celery juice, because it's going to actually help the body um, regulate it's the water. And so you can use food as medicine.
yes, yes, it definitely helps that circulation in the bloodstream. Oh, I wholeheartedly believe that food is medicine. 100%.
What other ways do you use food as medicine?
Well, I do a lot, I do my raw meat, and so that has a lot of B vitamins that are bioavailable, and I can instantly feel the energy from the bees. Like the one day I was so tired, I thought I'm just gonna go have a little bit of a snack. I'll have a little raw bison, I'll take a nap, and there was no napping after that. Like you can't even eat raw meat late at night because of the B vitamins in there, and that they're so important.
So if we cook meat, the vitamins are no longer in it?
Well, the amino acids are sensitive to heat. So they're in there, they're just not at their fullest potential. They're denatured, they're fragmented. The heat is going to change the chemical structure of all the proteins and the vitamins. So that's why and it kills all the enzymes. The one thing in the plant-based diet, the raw vegan, is everyone talks about enzymes. Well, there's tons of enzymes in raw meat and raw dairy. It's just something people don't think of every day.
Now, maybe I want you to walk us through what it looks like how do we physically handle this? So we buy it frozen. Like I would definitely want to walk through that sort of like if someone wanted to go and try this right now. But first, can you give us an idea, like the science behind it? Do you have any science that you can share with us as to why this particular diet is so healing for the body?
Yeah, a lot of it, like I said, comes back to the enzymes because they are going to help digest and assimilate everything that goes into your body. I mean, that's really important. And then also the probiotics, all raw foods, meats, plants, we are bacteria. So even raw meat has I think of it as my probiotic and my raw milk. And so that's so important for the body because the probiotics, they're going to manufacture vitamins. This is the good bacteria. They're going to manufacture vitamins, they digest, they assimilate. They're so essential for living, healing. So that's another thing is the enzymes, the probiotics. I don't denature nature. It goes back to our ancestors. It goes the wisdom of our ancestors. I have done research. They eat both raw and cooked. They eat raw animals and cooked animals. So there's both. I can't fully say they eat only raw foods, but they do eat both, and they're wise. They didn't eat canned food. They didn't eat partially hydrogenated oils or sugar. They ate, foods. I go back to that wisdom, foods from the land that they could hunt. That's where the raw paleo. So the raw version comes in.
Got it. So if in today's society were to be like snatched up, abducted by aliens and thrown into, 1,000 years ago or 10,000 years ago with some bows and arrows, basically it's how we'd have to eat to survive.
Right, exactly. Oh yeah. But yeah, it's the proteins. It's the non-denatured proteins and fats that are so healing. We need fats and cholesterol and protein to survive, to heal, to regenerate tissues. So this is all coming from a raw, non-denatured form as nature intended.
Now, I'm going to ask the question that is probably on everyone's mind and probably the most common question you get asked. What about food poisoning and parasites?
Okay, yeah. So that comes back to sourcing. I definitely drive to farms. I drive to specialty butcher shops. I tell them I'm eating this meat raw, and they're like, great. And they get all excited. So I source really clean food, animals that are grazing on pasture and soaking up sunlight and they're not grain fed, they don't produce parasites and bacteria. Clean animals produce clean food and sick animals produce sick food. It's like a real it's that part's the simple concept. But yeah, so I'm really careful about sourcing, and I buy grass fed and organic. You know, there's those, you want to look for those words, you want to talk to farmers, ask butchers questions. And then I also have interviewed people that have been eating this way for years. One of my mentors for 35 years, nobody's ever gotten sick or gotten a parasite, you know. So that I'm kind of, some of it's anecdotal medicine, you know, or information, because I have never gotten sick either. I only get better. People only get well from this. I don't see sickness.
Very cool. Now, what about, do you focus on looking at macros? Like it sounds like you obviously are focusing more on the saturated and the healthy fats than someone who's just eating raw vegan. Um, do you look to see what percentages of your calories come from fat or come from protein in this diet?
You know, I don't count the macros and micros as much. It's different being pregnant because I actually, I should say I didn't used to. Now I do. I do get 100 grams of protein, so I'm counting. But the whole thing is the quality of the food when it's raw and non-denatured at all is just so much greater. I could eat a tiny little quarter pound of raw steak tartare and get the same benefit as a huge pound of meat. So when it's in its non-denatured form, it's so filling. You don't need much. It's quality over quantity.
Sounds like the savings that you're like, 'cause it's more expensive to buy healthier like quality food, like the like you said, grass-fed organic, but you're
Right.
eating less of it, and so it kind of sounds like it would balance out.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely eating less. Oh, I mean, it's so hard to say because right now being pregnant, I do eat more. I do eat more. But yeah, before, oh my gosh, I did not need much to satiate me. You can go hours on raw cheese and raw milkshake and a little bit of tartare. It's just so filling and satiating.
Now, it's kind of controversial to talk about dairy these days. So many people are going off of dairy. The argument is it's not natural to consume the milk from a different species, even past infancy. So it's kind of weird. And that there are so many different immune cells in dairy. Like think about human breast milk. It's the baby's immune system for the first 6 months of their life. And so milk is the same way. So we're consuming the immune system of a cow meant for a calf. And so a lot of people have gone off of dairy, either because they actually react to it or just because they just think, well, that doesn't make sense for my body. So why does it make sense for a raw paleo person to be consuming raw dairy?
Right. Well, I bring the raw dairy aspect in because it's for the fat soluble vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K. You can't find that in plants. And so I bring that in because maybe years ago we didn't live in, people didn't live in such a toxic world.
Mm.
But today I need that nourishment. I mean, it's so important, the vitamin A, just for balancing the hormones, the saturated fats. So I bring it in because I don't take any supplements at all, no prenatals, nothing. I bring in the raw dairy because that's my source of those vitamins.
Ah, I see. So can someone do raw paleo without including dairy successfully?
Not necessarily. That's a huge part. I mean, the raw meat is almost second to the raw dairy.
Mm.
So, yeah, that's most of my nourishment is coming from that good raw fat.
Can it be other animals like goat, for example?
Sure, there's raw goat milk, there's raw sheep milk, buffalo milk is delicious.
Really? What does it taste like?
Yeah, it's so fatty. It's all this cream rises to the top. It's delicious.
That's very interesting because I know a lot of people who can't, like, they react to cow dairy, but not goat or not, just it's different. different things for the body was reacting to. So, like for example, chicken eggs, some people cannot handle chicken eggs, but they often can handle duck eggs or quail eggs.
Right. I know. I have found that. And I have found that if the farmer is not feeding the chickens any soy, they can usually handle it. A lot of people are highly
Oh,
allergic to soy, and that will get right into the tissues and to the eggs.
that's very interesting. Now, what I do know about quail eggs is that they're actually meant to always be raw. You should never cook a quail egg. Do you use quail eggs?
I have when I come across them at farmers markets, they're great to top the steak tartare with, like you see in France and different other countries. They put the little egg yolk in the middle of the tartare. It's so good.
Mm-hmm. Now, some people might get queasy when it comes to the thinking about the texture of raw meat. How do you help people transition to eating raw meat if they're the kind of person that would order their steak well done?
Yeah, well, first of all, people usually always start with raw butter. That's the easiest gateway, and I never just transition people right into eating raw meat. Yeah, it's first raw butter, raw eggs in the smoothies are a powerhouse of nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of
Mm-hmm.
the easiest things to do. And raw milk, and then the next step is raw meat, and the texture of it. When it's steak tartare, you cut it into tiny little pieces, and it's fine. It's much more. It's easier to chew than cooked steak any day. Like that, I've had a cooked steak, obviously, and I'm chewing and chewing and chewing forever, and I'm thinking, well, this is so tough and hard. And if you eat raw meat, it's the easiest thing.
Mm. Now, for those who are curious. Like I'm willing to try any diet. Just or I don't like to say diet, like because you think diet means weight loss, but I'm looking for diet for health. And like the way you're explaining it is you have more energy. You're feeling healthier, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to eat the healthiest way possible to bring all the nutrients that my body needs into my cells, and use food as medicine. And I know my listeners would be as well. So it's the idea of going raw paleo. I think when I think paleo, I think giant steaks, slabs of butter, and big sweet potatoes. Like that's
Yeah.
in my mind, and lots of bacon and lots of greens, and that's sort of in my mind where paleo is. And then go raw paleo. Are you saying it's less paleo and more raw vegan with some raw animal products, or is it paleo in that you still have the sweet potatoes and the giant things of butter? Like, can you maybe paint a picture of what a day in the life of a raw paleo looks like? Breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks and dessert.
Okay, sure. Yeah, that's a good question because it is. Is it raw vegan with dairy? But the paleo part is the raw meat. So I include raw meat, raw chicken, raw fish. So that's the paleo part of it. Um, but I always start my day with saturated fat because it's satiating, some type of raw protein, which is a smoothie. So I have a raw kefir base for the probiotics, a homemade raw milk kefir, and then I'll put two raw eggs. If it's a man, I tell him four raw eggs. So now you're getting raw fat, raw protein. It's such a great fuel, and I'm into putting in food-based herbs. I'll put in a little chlorophyll, or I'll put in some bee pollen, some reishi mushroom, different things to amp up my smoothie and change it around a bit. And so starting the day with a really nutrient dense, satiating smoothie can last for hours. And then a snack would be raw cheese with some raw honey drizzled on it. And you don't need much. It's so satiating. And then you can go another couple hours. And I do include green juice. People ask me about that. Wouldn't you be too acidic if you're just focusing on raw fat and raw protein all the time? And we do want to keep the body alkaline. So there's always a green juice during the day in there. And then you can have just a fistful of raw meat for dinner. And that doesn't have to be every day either. So that's the thing. It's not like, I think the paleo people overdo it with meat 3 times a day and all that bacon. I'm not into all that. I'm still into the raw aspect of things and not eating massive quantities of food.
So, So it's more raw vegan as the base, and then you're getting your fats and you're getting a lot of healthy fat and your fat soluble vitamins and protein from raw animal products.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
I don't even know if there's a lot of raw vegan. I mean, the green juice part for sure, and the fermented vegetables. But
Mm.
otherwise, and the shakes have animal products. Yeah.
Now you have this article on your site called "Raw Meat: The New Liver Cleanse."
Right.
I think it's fascinating because you hear people always going, "Oh, for a cleanse, you need to go either do a juice fast or do a fast in and of itself." Seldom do we hear people say to consume meat to cleanse the liver. How do we use raw meat to cleanse the liver?
Yeah, I well again the enzymes and the probiotics are both super cleansing to the body. So that right there is going to cleanse the liver. Um, I think it was the CoQ10. I honestly wrote that article a little while ago. And at this moment, maybe it's baby brain, but I can't recall. It's the amino acids also that help cleanse the liver. And I know it's the bioavailable amino acids in the meat, but I wouldn't be able to name exactly which ones.
Oh yeah, no, sorry for putting you on the spot. I was just scrolling through your website going, "Oh, let's talk about this." Well, people will just have to go check out the Oh yeah, here you've got amino acid glutathione,
Oh, the glutathione, right.
right? Yes. So, it looks like a very interesting article. You've got a lot of great articles on your website.
Thank
Are
you.
there people who shouldn't do this diet?
That's a good question. Yeah, I would say I wouldn't dive into it 100% if someone is coming right off of a standard American diet. I would ease into it. So somebody that's coming off of bread and gluten and sugar and a lot of processed foods would probably go into too much of a detox too fast. So all raw foods are so detoxifying, like I said, with the enzymes and probiotics, and it's pretty detoxifying. I've had to slow people down, and they start with only a couple tablespoons of raw milk. Raw milk actually has a bunch of glutathione in it as well, the master antioxidant. And so all these foods have so many things that are detoxifying that I would say if you're already raw vegan or you've been healthy for years, really health conscious, you could dive right in. But if you're coming off of a standard American diet, the SAD diet, I would take baby steps.
Mhm. Yeah, because you mentioned raw chicken, and I was like, I don't know. I don't know if I can go there. How do you prepare raw chicken so you're not totally grossed out?
I know, I said the same thing. I thought, oh, there's no way. When someone told me that they eat raw chicken, it blew my mind. And now I'm so desensitized to it. So I actually cold cook it in lemon. It's chicken ceviche.
Oh, delicious. Okay. I
Yeah,
think
it's
I can
really
do that.
good. It's really good. You leave it, yeah. So you cut it and you get organic pasture raised chicken. You cut it into little half-inch pieces in a glass jar. You cover it with lemon juice for 24 hours in the fridge. And when it comes out and you squeeze all the lemon juice off, it looks and tastes and feels like a cooked piece of chicken. It's
Mhm.
white, it's tender, it's no longer pink. So it is cooked in the acid from the lemon. It's
Mhm.
just not denatured with the heat. It actually, oh, it's so delicious. I would love everyone to be able to try that.
I am totally gonna try it. Now, do you have to do it without the skin? You have to do skinless?
You don't have to, and you don't have to do the white meat either. I've tried everything, and for me, like it does taste the best, and the texture that I'm used to is the white meat.
Mhm. Now again on your website, sorry, I'm scrolling through the blog articles and I see canola oil, which obviously is bad. You're like canola oil is bad. Pumpkin seed is your favorite. I don't think I've ever experienced pumpkin seed oil.
Yeah.
Is this? Is this part of the raw foods thing? And do you use it? Do you obviously? I was about to ask if you cook with it. So you drizzle it on stuff. Like what's up with pumpkin seed oil?
Yeah, I don't cook with any oils, but also, so the pumpkin seed oil, there's a lot of magnesium, vitamin E. I have a friend that he cold presses them. They come in these black onyx bottles where there's no light, no heat, no air, so they're really raw, truly raw oils.
Mm.
And yeah, so I do cook sometimes. People always ask that, but I never cook in oil. It's always a traditional fat, like beef tallow or lard, or sometimes I guess coconut oil sometimes.
I like it because Dr. Wallach, who's a naturopath that I love and adore and have learned so much from, he is so against oil in general because, just like you said, when the oil hits light and air, and sits on the shelf with air in the bottle, it basically becomes a bunch of free radicals. So when you consume it, it can cause more damage to the body than good. But what you're saying is that when your friend makes it, and Dr. Wallach says the only way to consume oil is if you know the chain of custody, and that it's fresh and that it didn't touch oxygen, then it would be considered healthy. And so you know that your friend, how he cold presses it, doesn't have it exposed to air in the bottle, and the bottle doesn't have sunlight coming through. And if you know it's fairly fresh, then that's something we could trust.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they go rancid fast, and that is one of the major health problems are the rancid oils. People like to blame fat and cholesterol, but I agree, he's right. It's those oils. So yeah, it's Andreas seed oil. I don't know if you've heard of him.
I have not, but if he's your friend, get him on my show. I'd love to interview him because
Oh
that's
yeah.
fascinating. But the blog post here, the April 12th, 2016, for listeners to check out on your website, which is rawpaleo.com. Um, I'm just imagining that pumpkin seed oil would be very delicious. Does it have a nice flavor profile?
And it is delicious. It almost comes out like a green color. It has a great flavor. Yeah, it has a great flavor. It is really interesting. And he like hand makes this. It's a really special patented machine. So you would have to talk to him, but I trust it. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, so for us total newbies, walk us through some steps we can take to begin to transition into raw paleo.
So yeah, one of the steps is adding a raw egg to the smoothie.
Mm-hmm.
So I use the whole egg because you always find a fat and a protein together in nature. Even
Mm-hmm.
on a piece of meat, there's fat on the edge, and the egg comes in this perfect package, and there's a fat at the yolk, and then the protein is the white. And so I never want to fragment things or denature nature, so I use the whole raw egg. And I suggest that people, they start with it slowly. One egg a day in your smoothie, and then the yolk has vitamin A, D, K. It has all the fat soluble vitamins, B vitamins. There's a lot of choline, so you'll just feel your brain switch on with the raw egg in there in the morning. And I don't know if that's the easiest transition is if you make smoothies in the morning, put in a pasture raised raw egg, and you'll start to feel a difference there.
Absolutely. In fact, that was I used eggs to help heal my body and balance my hormones. And we did just that. Back when I first started about 6 years ago getting my health back, we did tons of raw eggs every day in our smoothies. And it made such a big difference. I felt so good doing raw eggs. I have a friend who, when he gets hungry, he just goes up to his fridge, grabs an egg, cracks it on his chin, and drops the entire thing in his mouth and swallows it. I'm like, man, that's intense. I don't know if I can do that, but he's like one of those really efficient people. Oh, I'm hungry. Crack an egg, pop it in my mouth. Okay, keep going with my day. Um, that
I've done
you've
that.
done that. That is that's like Rocky, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Awesome. Can you share some stories of success? I'd love to hear how this diet has transformed people's lives.
Yeah, sounds like your story. That's great. You were eating all those raw eggs. And that's one of the things with balancing hormones. I had one client where she was not getting a menstrual period, cramping, she was underweight. And I started putting her on the raw eggs because the raw cholesterol in that form is at the root of all the hormones. So it's going to manufacture and support, balance your hormones. And within 2 weeks, she was feeling so much better, and she started getting her menstrual cycle back. It came back. So I love that story. I love that you have to be open-minded first to put the raw eggs in there. And she was, and that was so healing for her.
Wonderful. That's so cool. Something so simple that can make such a big difference. What is something surprising about the raw paleo diet that we wouldn't think that is so surprising or so unique about it?
The one thing I used to go to this group where we would have raw potlucks and there would be all raw meat on the table. And the raw meat, it builds muscle naturally. Like you don't have to go run to a gym, and muscle builds muscle like heals like. And so just by eating the raw meat, I just notice how strong people are. I would go to these potlucks, and they would actually be an older crowd. I don't see a lot of 20-year-olds doing my diet. It's people that have tried everything across the board and nothing has worked. And they're like, okay, give me the raw meat. And they right away start feeling improvements, more energy, muscle mass starts coming back. And so I noticed I would go to these potlucks, a raw meat potluck, which is never really heard of. And when and I hug everybody, and there's all these older men, 70s, 80s. They don't work out, and they're sturdy and they're strong, and you can just feel it when you pat their back, and you're like, oh yeah, these people are really strong. So that's one thing I love is eating the raw proteins in the raw meat and the strength that it gives.
What kind of diseases have you seen people reverse by nourishing their body with this diet?
Well, my mentor, he reversed blood and bone cancer. He was one that had tried everything. I don't know if you've heard of Augenis Vonderplanitz.
No.
Oh yeah, so he has the first raw primal. It's a raw primal book, and then I actually have changed the name 35 years later to Raw Paleo. But it's a raw primal book, and he had blood cancer and bone cancer and autism, tried everything, and he actually thought he would eat raw meat to kill himself. He was at his end and woke up never feeling so good the next day. Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
and that started it. And he started this. He's very, very well. He's actually not alive anymore, but he was very dogmatic. His followers were on it. They were dogmatic. I'm much easier with it, but he definitely has healed his story is over 250 people of cancer with the diet. So he would definitely be someone to look into. It's very interesting.
Very cool. Now, what about your book? Let's talk about your book, which of course the link to everything that Melissa does is going to be in the show notes of today's podcast at learntoyourhealth.com. So raw paleo, you have 100 recipes and tips, which obviously we're going to need some recipes here because, it's like I feel like we're starting from scratch. I know how to cook food, but I don't know about not cooking food. So, could you, besides the basics, share some recipes from your book?
Sure. Yeah, there's over 100 recipes, and I divide them into the chapters. There's a raw butter chapter, so there's a raw butter banana cream pie. It's delicious. Anybody that's like, oh, I can't do raw dairy, they can always do this raw banana cream butter pie. Because, of course, the raw butter does have enzymes, it's more digestible. And then I split it up, and then there's a raw shake and smoothies, which is a good 50% of the day. That's so satiating, a part of the diet. And then there's a chapter on raw meat, raw fish, green juice. It goes into all the recipes are in each chapter towards the end. The first part is some health benefits, and then the end has 100 recipes.
Now, what about sourcing raw products? I know you talked about, okay, we'll talk to the butcher and talk to the farmer, but like, how do we find the farmer? In so many states and so many countries, raw dairy is illegal.
I know it's hard. There's a lot of little private buying groups. If you go to realmilk.com and put in your zip code, I found a lot of raw dairy that way. I do ask people at farmers markets as one of my best sources because I just moved to Arizona. too. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I live on raw dairy and raw meat. That's my nourishment. And so I did go to a farmer's market and there was a lady selling goat milk soap. And I'm like, is there any chance that you sell raw milk? And she does. And I go to her house and it's asking, when there's a will, there's a way. You ask questions and you find it.
Cool. So you just need to be stealthy and go to farmers markets and eventually you'll find someone who will sell you the raw goods.
Yeah, another source I use is the Weston A. Price
Mm.
the local chapter. When I move, I'm a mover, so when I move anywhere, I go right on to the local chapter, find out, I'll email, they have a chapter leader, and I'll ask, for a resource list. They're usually really good about giving a resource list. I have found raw milk that way as well.
Why are you a mover? What is it? You just love going to different places, or what has you moving around so much?
I know, good question. I always have said if I ever have a baby, I'm gonna have to ground, and now this has happened. But yeah, I haven't found that perfect place, which there probably isn't. But I guess, I moved to Venice Beach and then I was craving nature. And then I moved to San Francisco and it was so crowded. And then I moved to Arizona because I'm having a baby. So, and my family's here.
Ah, very good. Yes, no,
I,
be around family. But you should totally check out um, just outside of Seattle because you've got nature, you've got hippie, crunchy granola people like you and me, and and lots of raw food.
yeah.
So yeah, up here is great, but yeah, being around family is definitely what you want to do. You want as many people taking care of your baby as possible.
Yes.
Absolutely. Um, so what do we need to know about the raw paleo way of eating in terms of helping like are we going to as we transition into it, are we going to go through symptoms, are we going to kind of go through like a detox moment, are we going to start having like cravings and almost be like we're in rehab, coming down off of the sugar and the processed food? Like walk us through, like you said, if you have edema, then drink the celery juice. Do you have any kind of remedies for helping the transition?
Well, a remedy for too fast of a detox would be a sweet potato or some gluten-free bread and butter or some type of cooked food to slow down the detox. Otherwise, I do detox baths. You can do a 90-minute hot bath with some Epsom salt and vinegar in there. There's other ways you can sweat, you can move. And it's I'm sure it's not all about the food, but it's getting the sunshine, drinking spring water, moving the body. All of that is going to help facilitate detox. And then if you really need to slow it down, you could eat some carbs, some cooked food.
Got it. And so when we do this, do we notice that we are like I'm friends with a few people who are vegan, and I should say raw vegan, and they're all like just super skinny, and then when they are not vegan and they just eat the standard, no, I don't want to say the standard American diet, but they eat like cooked food, they tend to be more heavier set. And so I don't know anyone who's a raw vegan who's overweight. This particular raw paleo diet, is this not only best for for healing the and just nurturing the body with all the nutrients, but is it really a great way to lose weight in addition to detox?
That's kind of a loaded question because when I first started the diet, I did put on about 8 pounds. My body was starving for things that had never seen, like raw butter and raw milk and things with saturated fat and vitamin A and D. And so I couldn't get enough in. I mean, a gallon of milk a week, a pound of butter a week. It was just like more, more, more. I need this. And then I gained weight, and then that was it. It just balanced out. My nutritional requirements were met. I started just leveling out, and then I actually couldn't even keep weight on. I got so fulfilled, and all my requirements were met. Where I'd be like eating raw butter pie and no carbs and no gluten and things, no sugar and things like that. I was just solely on mostly the raw fats, animal fats. And then I was losing weight. Even in the beginning of the pregnancy, I could not gain weight. I had to start eating cooked foods. So it does, that's my story with it.
The aspect of being raw vegan isn't exclusively grain free or low carb, obviously. They do more sprouting and things like that, but because you're calling it raw paleo, paleo is grain free. So it is that interesting hybrid. So would you say your diet excludes grains completely and focuses on, what is it, nuts and seeds and healthy fats, vegetables, and then raw animal products?
Right. Yeah. When I'm 100% on the raw paleo diet, I won't eat any grains at all. Now being pregnant, I'm eating some sprouted bread here and there. It's a whole different story.
Right, right. Obviously,
um,
yeah.
and yeah.
Well, what do you love to tell people who are just first hearing about raw paleo for the first time? Do you have any myth busting that you'd like to share with us?
I just love to tell them that, my main mission is I just want people to be open-minded and don't have a fear around food. There's so much fear and cringing I see when I say I eat raw meat, the faces I get. So, you know, it's like my mission is to be just a normal everyday thing like it would be in France or Italy or somewhere, another country where they all have a staple raw meat dish, but here in America we have, hot dogs. So my mission is just, I'm not dogmatic, but just to be open-minded and try it and feel the difference.
Yes, so be open-minded and check out rawpaleo.com, where Melissa is going to teach you how to get started on the raw paleo diet if you put your email in. This has been quite interesting. Would you share with us what is your most delicious dinner recipe that you would think that we would all want to just jump on this bandwagon if we tried it?
Oh, the dinners are mostly raw meat, so that's going to be all perspective. I would say steak tartare
Mm-hmm.
with capers and red onions and a bunch of fresh herbs, cilantro, sage, thyme. I put all fresh herbs, olive oil, and salt and pepper. And by the time you have all of that, you barely can tell you're eating raw meat. It's so delicious.
Very cool. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been quite interesting, and I look forward to hearing all about how you had the healthiest pregnancy and the healthiest birth and the healthiest baby, because it'll be a true testament that using, a balanced diet, we can gain so much nutrition. So thank you so much for coming on the show, and please stay in touch and let us know how you had just a wonderful birth and a fantastic baby.
Great. Yes, I'm excited. Thanks for having me.
Enjoy what you heard today on your episode of the Learn True Health podcast. Did something move you, inspire you? Did you get great information that's going to change your life? Awesome. That's exactly what I'm here to do, is to help you gain your health back. Please turn around and share this. If this is something that's helped you in any way, share this with those you love. Love the Learn True Health podcast and want to support us? Awesome. You can go to takeyoursupplements.com and you can support us that way. You'll get access to amazing supplements that are just really great quality for a great price. And there'll be someone on the other end of the line to help you pick out your supplements that are right for you. That's takeyoursupplements.com, or join our membership. LearnTrueHealth.com/join. That's another great way to support our podcast, support our movement, and you'll be supporting yourself. Gain more information, wonderful videos, wonderful trainings, and you'll also be able to share those with those you love as well. So go to LearnTrueHealth.com/join. Want something fun for free? Go to LearnTrueHealth.com, and right there on the front page, you'll see where you can get our free cookbook. I spent a lot of time making it, and it was so much fun. It's really delicious, healthy recipes. And you can also get our 7-day doctor course. Right there, it's 7 days of naturopathic videos sent right to your inbox, and you can learn from top naturopaths on how to gain health naturally. So that's takeyoursupplements.com for wonderful supplements. LearnTrueHealth.com/join to join our awesome membership, which is only open for a limited time. You can get our free healthy cookbook, And you can also get for free 7 days of wonderful naturopathic videos sent to you. Just go to learntruehealth.com and you'll see it right there on the front page. Thank you so much for being a listener, and thank you for sharing and helping others. Let's spread this information and turn this ripple into a tidal wave.